Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the Podcast Mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I am, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better. I'm very, very happy to introduce our guest today. They are the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, an award-winning publisher for holistic health and wellness professionals. She has spent 30 years in holistic physical therapy, has 14 years of training in the martial arts, and has authored 10 books. Her company has published over 55 Amazon best-selling books with a global community of over 1,000 authors who are waking the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time. Please welcome our guest and CEO of Brave Healer Productions, Laura Di Franco. Laura, thank you so much.
Thank you, Phil. Oh my gosh, I love listening to you introduce me. Can you follow me around in a couple of places and just do that again?
Not a problem. If you want to pay for my travel and for my time, I'll be more happy to use my docile tones to introduce you everywhere.
That was awesome.
If you give me a script, hell, I'll do an audio for you and you can play it whenever you do your talks. Laura, thank you so much for being here. I gave you this, as you said, a beautiful intro. But I want to hear from your own words. Who are you and what do you do?
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much for having me and just giving me the space to share today. So I started with a 30-year career in holistic physical therapy. So I was a physical therapist for a really long time, and I kind of knew I wanted to help people and started down that road and was always a writer on the side. And somewhere down that line, I opened up my own business. And then a little further down the line, I opened up another business because I realized I knew a thing or two to help teach my fellow healers about business and about publishing, writing books, and all the good things, right? So I've been in a lot of places with my career. I have owned now 2 businesses that have been very successful. And the topic of your podcast is absolutely my jam, man. So I just love helping people at that place where if I can help you not make a mistake in the beginning and really just catapult yourself, to the next level, I'm there for you.
I love it. And I'm excited to start down this road and see what we can do and how we can catapult some of our listeners to this episode. To their journey or wherever they're going. So pretty much why did you get started? Why did you decide to be your own boss, start your own businesses, all that fun stuff?
In the beginning of my career, graduating and knowing that I was going to go out and seek out a physical therapy job, I saw the opportunities and I went to work for some big companies. I knew I wanted to help people, but I also from the very beginning knew that I wanted to help people a little bit more holistically. So I got into those first jobs and everything was about how many people can you cram into your schedule to make us more money. And I wasn't a business owner yet. I wasn't in the mentality of anything like that. But for me, it was like I wasn't able to give any kind of quality service to the people I know who needed a particular quality to even get better, right? So business number 1 was opened up and founded because I wanted to do it my way. And I was no longer willing to not give what I knew people really needed and deserved to get better. In the beginning of business number 2, it was, I had already been an entrepreneur, started that business in 2008. And in 2016, I had been publishing, I had been writing, I had been learning things about business that I wanted to pay forward. I had already tasted the freedom of being an entrepreneur for several years at that point. So there was no going back. There was only serial entrepreneurship after that, right? So business number 2 opens and I'm helping, fellow healers publish their books and get their message and their beautiful work out loud in the world in a bigger way. And I've that fire has been lit since I opened up the doors of that business, and it's morphed and evolved over time. But I think I want to just get back to the taste of freedom one more time here, because for me, if that was the short answer, it would be like, well, why did you do that? Well, I wanted the freedom, the time freedom, and the freedom to do this the way I wanted to do it, to redefine the way I was doing business. And I continue to do that today. It's fun.
I love that. I love how you just, it's the pay it forward. That's the biggest benefit. The biggest thing that I took away from why you do it is the pay it forward to help people. And I think that's the reason we're put on this earth, to learn and then put it forward, take our learning and put it forward. So I'm very happy to have you on the podcast and hearing how you can put it forward with my audience. When you started, or you transitioned from your first business to your second business, and now you're running a production house for authors. What was it like jumping into, because they're all different businesses, I presume.
Definitely. These two businesses were very different. It was a physical therapy practice. I was seeing one-on-one clients for physical therapy, and running. So, here's the joke about transitions, right? So you say you're transitioning, and I did that for about 5 years, and I couldn't give up business number one to jump into business number two, because I was afraid. I didn't want to lose the bread and butter. I wasn't successful enough in business number two to support that yet. So whatever, I transitioned for about 5 years, and then along comes COVID. I'm sure you've heard a story or two.
I heard about this event that you're mentioning. I didn't partake in it, but I heard about it.
Well, COVID shut my private physical therapy practice down in a day. And I thought, okay. And I panicked for about a week or so, but I made the decision not to reopen. It was kind of like I had been trying to transition for so long, and the universe decided to do it for me and shove me off the cliff, right? But the cool story here, the one I love to tell, is that I was waking up from this dream I was having, and this was March 20th of 2020. I can actually tell you the day this happened. And it's not like I hadn't, written or published books before, or even been in, I had been in like 4 or 5 of these kinds of collaborative books. But when I woke up on March 20th of 2020, I was dreaming this dream of getting my healers together, because the world had just lost all of its ability to go hands-on to the people that they were accessing. And I walked in my pajamas to the laptop that morning, and I typed a little note in a group I was teaching a class for my business owners. And I said, hey, the world just lost us. Let's teach them what to do at home. Who wants to write a chapter? Let's do the ultimate guide to self-healing. And 48 hours after I made that invitation there, 24 people said, sure, I'm going to do that with you. And 5 weeks after that, we had it at a #1 Amazon bestseller. And I was like, whoa, what just happened? And I even just thought that was a fun one-off. I didn't even really know what was happening at the time. But I had a friend email me a week later after we launched. And she said, so Laura, when are you doing the next one? And I'm like, today, I guess. So, and so that book has 5 volumes. And this month we're celebrating book 64. So yeah, I think your bio is actually a little outdated. I think you said 55 in my bio that you read.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'll definitely update that maybe before I read the next time you're on. Wow. So it just started with, hey, I'm in my pajamas. I had this dream about getting us all together. Who wants to write a chapter? And then the following thing was, okay, when we're doing the next one, and you're like, oh, I have to continue this. I guess this is my business.
Something like that, yes.
Wow. Did you, since you're currently a serial entrepreneur, your ability to find clients, have you seen it changed over time, or do you see that it's just being more and more being attracted to you and finding you without you doing much work?
If I that could be a whole book in and of itself, like that journey. Seriously, right? For everybody who starts and gets to a certain point. I remember being so, first of all, believe it or not, I'm a pretty massive introvert. And
Really?
I know it's crazy, but I call myself an extroverted introvert, but I have been pretty shy all my life. And so when you open a business, if you don't understand that networking and relationship building is part of this jam, you got a problem, right? And so business number one, while I did manage to build that business by myself to 6+ figures, it wasn't without pain because I was so shy and I had to go out and be in front of doctors and present myself as a therapist and like, hey, I'm really good. You should refer, clients to me type of thing. And I built some relationships, but if I just jump forward to where I am now, I think you get when I say being in business is a self-development and healing journey. And if you've signed up for that journey and you really get what I just said, your own self-development, your ability to stand up tall inside of your own worthiness and have some confidence about what you do and be able to speak about what you do. And that gets better and better and better over time as you build those skills and you build that confidence and you do the healing work you need to do about yourself. And I'm in a place now where I love it. I attract it. I'm a different energy now. I don't have to work so hard. I believe 150% in what I'm doing and I have absolutely no problems talking about it. But man, have I come a long way from that. Oh my gosh, I could barely look people in the eye. I wasn't comfortable in here yet in my own skin. It was excruciating, seriously, back then in the beginning.
I can only imagine. And it's kind of hard to imagine, like if I didn't go through it myself, or our listeners listening here, to hearing you speak with the passion and that, like, really, you had a hard time talking to people? Because it is somewhat hard to believe, but going through the journey myself, I know how, because you have that like doubt. Like I'm more of an extrovert than an introvert, but I do need my introvert moments. But I still find it hard. Like I'm talking about podcasting with people and I feel like I'm a fraud, and I've been in this business this world 10 years now. So like, I can fully understand how like you can feel so like you feel like a fraud, you're not worth it, they don't really want to believe you, and you have to go out and you already are an introvert. Yeah, it's a painful journey.
Well, it's great to hear you talk about the same thing, because we're definitely not alone in this group of people who are struggling with this issue. And if y'all have ever read the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, The Big Leap talks about your upper limit problems and hitting that place where you self-sabotage yourself back down again. It's an imposter syndrome. It sounds a lot of different ways and a lot of different people. But once upon a time, I kind of went through an interaction with somebody where, excuse me, I came out of it and said, girl, this ain't about you anymore. Like your fear of not good enough is just boring. Like, what if you getting over yourself and getting out there and sharing your amazing work in the world changes or even saves somebody's life? Then what, right? And so imposter syndrome for me, every time I hit that upper limit again and it kind of creeps in and I can feel it, I'm like, oh, I see you. Stop that. And we do, no matter what level of business we get to, that's going to cycle back and bite you in the ass a little bit. And you're going to have to use your awareness to understand where you're at with that, and that it's a sign of up leveling. When that comes back around to you, you can be like, whoa, here we go, universe. And that's how I use it now. So, mindset mastery is one of my absolute favorite things to talk about, because awareness and mindset and being able to observe what's going on inside of you, it's everything. That's a transformational skill and mastery.
It is. And like alluding to what you said earlier about how the journey of entrepreneurial is self-healing, self-growth, self-loathing, as much as it is healing and self-love. There is some hate you start with because you hate where you were, because you know where you want to go and you hate yourself for that. But it's, again, like you said, you have to turn into self-love to understand and to help grow. Um,
Can I pause you there for a second?
Certainly, please.
Like, if anybody still has any remnants of that, and they look back at pieces and they're feeling that not so great feeling about where they've been and who they were. And I think another thing to wake up to is every single painful moment you've been through is what made you who you are today. So I've learned to just be grateful for all the crappy stuff. I've been grateful for the teachers that have showed up in my life that that challenged me to move through big stuff. The biggest traumas, the biggest pains, the biggest challenges have become humongous opportunities for healing and transformation. So there were times in my life where I felt like that, but I've come to this place where there is no hate of anything anymore. Like, oh yeah, I see that little girl, I see that young woman, I see that, that person who grew up and grew wiser and gained knowledge and did all the things, but also had all of those moments that were pretty tough. And I am so grateful for her. I shower my own self with that love, and I talk to her a lot. Like, I'll talk to myself and just be like, you know what, you're a badass, like, good job. Like, that was hard. Like, I'm glad that you made it to the other side of that. And you mentioned in my intro, martial arts training, a lot of it was part of my journey, because that training, while most people understand the physical part, what they might not understand is that it's the mental part that made me who I am. And yeah, I was in really great shape as well. And, I could do a lot of things with my body through that training, but it was really the mindset thing that got me to the places I really am grateful for now, and that I can use now with all the challenges that come. So I don't know, you got me going on that one, that one little piece there.
I love it. I love when that happens, because it means that there's gold in them hills, if you will excuse the expression. But I wanted to touch on your martial arts, because it is something that's so important with your mindset. Because yes, people know about the physical, but it is a lot of mental strength, because I do yoga. I love yoga. And when I was younger, I did do some martial arts, not for very long, but I noticed that when you're doing yoga, you're focused on not falling over. So you're very in the moment. And I kind of remember back when I was doing my martial arts, the judo, you're very much in the moment, because you're concentrating on doing the single movement, allowing your brain to like be silent and be able to be present. And then the clarity comes, I find, because you're concentrating so much on this one thing. Then right after, you have that clarity. When did you start doing the martial arts? Were you doing martial arts before you started your business, or was it during your business that you started doing martial arts?
All the way from, I was 38 years old when I started, and my son, who was 5.5 at the time, we were kind of looking for something for him to do, to kind of socialize, get involved in an activity, do something, right? And so we ended up watching a Taekwondo class one day, and I brought him into the YMCA near our house to watch a class. And we watched for a while. We ended up leaving, and I looked down at him, and I'm like, well, you want to do it? Like, you want to sign up? I'll never forget this day. He looks up at me, fuzzy little head, and just says, well, I'll do it if you do it, Mom. And I'm like, okay. And 6 years later, he was 11. We earned our black belts together.
Oh.
And that was probably, one of the proudest moments of my life, being able to train alongside him And it ended up being, believe it or not, that story that ended up being my very first book I ever published. I published a book called Living, Healing, and Taekwondo, and it was about my journey being a physical therapist, a healer, a mom, a wife, a martial artist, and all. I had journaled. Any of you who journal, you probably have books worth of material in there, and I had journaled through these 6 years. And if you ask my friends and family, they all would say, oh yeah, she talked about writing a book for, so long, but I never did it. But at the end of that training, I looked at those journals and I thought, oh, whoa, here's the book. And I could see it in the pages and the essays I was writing and the notes I was writing about the journey of that mindset, both physical and mental. It's a lot of both, but that's the origin story of the martial arts. I went on to train for much longer. My little dude stopped pretty soon after the black belt, but I went on to train through 3rd degree black belt. And it's funny you mentioned yoga also, because I think yoga is going to be my next chapter and the next frontier. Martial arts, especially full gear training, and I'm 55, so there was a certain point where I didn't want to get kicked in the head anymore.
Understandable.
Yeah.
I'm not at that, and I'm kind of you know what? Kicking to the head, not so much fun.
No.
Doesn't seem like it.
It was fun for a while. I do have to admit, I really did enjoy that, but get a little aggression out, burn some energy, burn some calories. But I've been thinking a lot about the yoga journey, and I've dabbled over the years, and I wanted to get back to what you were saying about that, because it's the same as the martial arts moments, full body, mind presence. If that is your practice, you have a window to miracles. If you can get in there and sit still and hold yourself in a pose or a movement or just in your body, and then you be the observer of what's going on, both physically, mentally, emotionally, then you've got this magical door to almost anything you could dream of. I think it's that powerful.
Oh, so. No, it is. I can just only imagine how you're going to be the next, it's like a Shaolin monk, martial arts with the yoga and the meditation. You're going to be a Shaolin monk of the healing world for authors. Speaking of that, we're going to transition. We're going to go into more of a teaching conversation here. Specifically, I would love a piece of advice from you for authors in this self-help, in that healing world, what they can do, how they can use that book, or how they can launch a book and make it profitable for them. Because I know a lot of authors, they don't tend to be profitable when they write their books. So how did you do it, and how did you help so many people? Maybe a piece of advice for them.
Oh, there's so much here. So first of all, just open a document on your computer, title it The Book, and start writing, y'all. Just get over yourself. Everyone gets into this mindset of, oh, I can't do this. I don't have the time. It's never going to happen. It's not going to be that's just your own self-sabotage about it. But what I do know is that you have life-changing kinds of messages and the work that you've committed your life to. And the longer you procrastinate, the longer you prevent someone's life from changing. So get over it and start writing. Okay. So I think that the profitability piece is a couple things, a couple tips there. You can make badass royalties from your book. You can do that, but you better have a marketing and promotion strategy. And you better realize that book marketing is a marathon, not a sprint. You launch your book, you're kind of high from the launch. And then what I see authors do is they kind of fall off the train and they forget it has to be a lifelong strategy or not, right? You either do this or you don't. So you have to have a strategy and a plan, and you have to collaborate with people that can help you share. There is I feel for you solo authors who are out there alone trying to publish your books by yourself. And whether you have publishing help or not, what you don't have, what I see you don't have, is a community of people to help you launch, promote, and share your work. So the community is everything. But the other piece of this in terms of book sales is if you fashion your signature teaching memoir, which is what we call these, in a way that helps you bring people into your world at the next step or the next level, yeah, royalties are fun, but what about 10 new clients? And so a lot of people look at the book as the moneymaker, but they don't realize it's the door to the moneymaker. It's the door to the speaking gigs. It's the door to the new clients because they got to know, love, and trust you enough from this beautiful, authentic, real, amazing book with practical experience that you just gifted them with. And believe me, they want to click on your website at the end, or they want to hire you to speak, or they want to see what a session with you is like, or whatever, right? So a lot of my budget is how many books can I give away? Because if I know if I have a signature book, I give them away. I do contests. I'm giving away at networking events. I'm like, here, have a book. Because I know that if something lands, they're going to call me. They're going to email me, or they'll want to ask a question. They may want to come for a discovery call. They might want to learn about publishing. And I am an open book about all the tricks and the secrets. There are no secrets, y'all. Like, you can do this and you can have an Amazon best-selling book. That part's easy. Oh, did I just say that? That part.
Don't tell people that. Then they'll be able to do it themselves. I mean, we want them to come see you.
I know, and they can do it themselves, but I wouldn't recommend doing it without some coaching and assistance, so that you don't make mistakes and be disappointed and have a crappy launch because you didn't know what you didn't know, right? And so that's what I'm here for, and I'd love to help people with it.
I love it, and I'm so happy that we have had this chance to talk with you. We are coming up to the end of the episode, which is the worst part of the episode in my book, because I love continually chatting with my guests, because there's probably more knowledge in your head than I have a chance to find out in a lifetime. But I do want to bring someone very special. I'm going to snap my fingers. We have 10-year-old Laura here, firecracker, if you will, just ready, looking up at you in awe. And I want to know, what piece of advice, one single solitary piece of advice, are we giving your 10-year-old self?
Such a great question. Man, I would look at her and say, Laura, you were born, so you are worthy. Your message matters. What if that thing you're still a little afraid to share is exactly what would help someone else change, or maybe even save their life? It's time to be brave, girl. Go for it.
I love it. I love it. And there's so much love. I can hear the love in your voice when you're sharing that message, telling that advice to your 10-year-old self. Laura, I'm going to jump off screen here. I need you to let my audience know where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can purchase whatever you feel like letting my audience know about. The floor is yours as a thank you for being on the show. So go ahead.
Thank you. You guys can come and visit me at bravehealer.com, and there's multiple ways to connect. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. You can type in Brave Healer Productions and usually find everything you need to know. We are super happy to talk with you about your book idea, give you free advice about your publishing journey. And I can't wait to share about our writers retreat coming up next year. So many fun things happening. So Phil, thank you so much for letting me share all that and for having me today.
Laura, the pleasure is absolutely mine. Thank you so much for coming on, sharing your amazing story with myself and my audience.
Thank you.
To my audience, make sure you check out the show notes down below to connect with Laura, Brave Healer Productions, and all the wonderful stuff that she has coming out, especially that writer's retreat. That sounds like an awesome time if you're in the world of healers, or you're looking to write something to help people heal. So I thank you again, Laura. To my audience, the notes down below, and always remember to invest in yourself.